Name is Santana Dotson, representing the Gilbert Brown Foundation. Well, Gilbert and I have been friends, teammates. We played next to each other. I played 11. We both played about 11 years in the NFL, and we played about 6, 7 years together here in Green Bay. And one of our philosophies was never say no to a teammate, and that still carries on to this day. And sometimes it comes back to bite you. But for a good cause and Gilbert's Foundation, it's a good reason to never say no to a teammate. We've done some great things, everything from team talks and business workshops to working with kids, the different like Indian reservations as well as at-risk kids in the area and community, whether it's camps or bullying or anti-drugs, things of that nature, just to put a good impression on the youth. All of it's been fun. The best part about it is just getting out and working and being in the community. Because when you're playing, it goes fast and you don't get a chance to really get out and feel the nature or the environment of Packer fans and the culture. So it's good after career to be able to get out there and in the community. It's all about the work. A lot of times, kids and people think that it comes easy because they just see the byproduct or the result on Sundays. But it's a lot of the work you put into it as far as the conditioning, the repetition, the practicing in the off season and even during the week, So even on a typical day in the off season, it'd be 3, maybe 4 workouts in a day. And you've got to be able to embrace that. It's kind of the grind that you're away from the cameras, and it's not 60,000 people cheering and yelling your name when you're waking up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to run gassers or go lift and things like that. So you got to be able to kind of embrace that grind, so to speak, to get into an NFL career, as well as a lot of times being able to represent your family, your community that you're from. And there's a lot of not letting down the guy next to you, So during the pains of the season and the injuries of the season, a lot of times when we think we can't do it ourselves, it's like, okay, I got to be there for the guy next to me. But really the most difficult thing, and we used to joke about it all the time, is you knew who your opponent was on the football field because it was anybody in a different colored jersey. In the business world, everybody's wearing suits or, everybody's dressed the same way and they smile and they shake hands, but it is an element that it's a competition, and building that team. It's probably the most difficult thing to do when you get out of the locker room. Guys that have the common purpose and understand, again, that grind that it takes to get to the goal. Because most of your professional athletes don't mind the grind. It's just a matter of getting together with like-minded people as they transition out of their particular sport. I would say immense support. They're you want to be even keeled, and whether it's high or lows, they do a great job or did a great job while I played and after my career of always being that support mechanism. You just want to be able to be yourself. And a lot of times when you're playing, you get you have the name that goes with it. You're Santana Dotson publicly. But, we have the same issues. After post-career, I take out the trash. And during my career, I take out the trash like everybody else, So I would say the support is real big, And luckily, my dad was a professional athlete. So a lot of the lows that he went through, he was able to support me and say, well, watch out for this. This is coming, blah, blah, blah. So I felt like I had a lot more than the average professional athlete didn't have. Oh, wow. There's nothing better. There are things that it's been 25 years since we won the Super Bowl, for instance. And today we had some events and we did some stuff with Gil and Craig and a couple of my teammates. And we laughed at a couple of jokes that was going on in the locker room in 1996, just like it happened yesterday, and we laughed hysterically. And you really wish that everybody could have been a part of that. It was a great ride, and being on a championship team, there's nothing better. Fans got to see what happened on the field, but it was really that camaraderie and the brotherhood off the field in the locker room we did everything together. You know, one of the best things about being a Packer is everybody talked about it being a small scale or a small town, but that atmosphere really allowed us to gel as a team. So even as a defense or a defensive line, we did everything together. Whether it was going to the mall or going to the movies or whatnot, we did it all together. And I think that really helped, whereas a lot of your other NFL teams, it takes longer for that camaraderie component to really come into play. But in Green Bay, it was like from lock, stock, and center from the beginning, it was all about the family and the friends and the brotherhood in the locker room. Well, you start realizing that you got a lot to give to the people that are coming up behind you, whether it's on the football field or just life in general. So being able to take those life lessons and share, be vulnerable, let people understand, like, hey, when I talk to my kids or other kids or foundation kids, not being afraid to let them know, like, life is built on choices. It's your choice. But let me tell you how, if I was talking to my 15-year-old or 16-year-old self, how I wish I'd have had it to be able to do this over and do this again. So being able to just talk to kids and be vulnerable. And, kids like truth and they like honesty and they're resilient. So when you start to sharing those stories with them, you can see the layers kind of peel away and they start understanding that this thing called life, there's always a chance. There's always chance because the sun's going to come up the next day. So let's just put our, you put you dip your chin, you look forward, and you always are focused on being better. Wow. One item, $100 or less, that's amazing. I would have to go with a book, if that's okay. And it's a book, actually, it's a businessman's journal called Good to Great. And I bought it. It's actually a principles and philosophy in the workplace of how good organizations become great organizations. But a lot of that you start simulating, and I started simulating in my family life and everything else and just applying that science. So I have to say it was probably a $15 or a $20 read, but you start applying that science and you're like, oh, this stuff really works. So that'd probably be the spin that I'd say was well worth it.